Did you want to play the Ramaswamy thing we were listening to?
I do.
Oh my gosh, I had not seen that.
Oh, this is the CNN clip?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a town hall.
The
town hall. I don't know who the reporter is. The journalist.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you. If it was
Abby something. Yeah. Her name is Abby because he calls her Abby. But I don't know her
horrible
at all. But man, is this
answer
despicable.
alone from Vivek?
It's great though.
Puts him back into my orb of like, all right.
It almost makes me want to have him on the show again.
Not doing it. Don't do it. Please hold. Not doing
it. Jeffy's so bitter. Abby Phillip.
Abby Phillip from CNN.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen to this as he's talking about, he's talking about a lot of things, but January 6th comes up.
He told me 3 years ago, back when I was a biotech CEO, not steeped in this world.
And why, the reason he's bringing this up is that he called January 6th a conspiracy, an inside job.
And she's confronting him on that.
And she's confronting him on it.
I was just consuming passive media, but was focused on my world of developing medicines. If you had told me that January 6th was in any way an inside job, the subject of government entrapment, I would have told you that was crazy talk. Fringe conspiracy theory nonsense. I can tell you now, having gone somewhat deep in this, it's not. I mean, the reality is this. We do have a government, first of all, we have to acknowledge, that has lied to us systematically over the last several years about the origin of COVID-19.
Right.
About the Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was false by 51 CIA experts and otherwise before we now know that it was true. You can go straight down the list. The Trump-Russia disinformation collusion hoax.
You're watching
all
this.
Of it. Now we come to January 6th.
She's just about had enough.
The reality is we know that there were federal law enforcement agents in that
him.
field. We don't know how many. I think it's shameful. And if I may finish just answering.
Well, let me
this
just.
is really important.
I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you here because
I know this establishment doesn't approve of this message. I know
that there were federal
agents. You should be able to talk about this.
You're saying that there were federal agents.
This is important to talk about.
You are saying there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
Yep.
There is no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
Can you believe that? There is no evidence. There's no evidence on Joe Biden. There's no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd. There's no evidence. That's all they just keep harping on.
Yeah, they sure
There's no evidence. Yes, there is. There's a lot of evidence. If you're talking about hardcore proof in a court of law, I don't know that it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt because we haven't had our day in court yet. But there's a buttload of evidence.
And let me read a headline in case Abby has forgotten from a few months ago. FBI lost count of how many paid informants were at Capitol on January 6th.
Right.
And performed audit to figure out exact number.
I think Ramaswamy's about to make that sort of case.
So why, before Congress, when pressed on what the number was, they didn't say there were none. They just couldn't say how many there were.
So you're saying that
they lost count. There were so many that they couldn't count them.
There's that you have not seen any evidence.
So
that
we've
there
seen
were,
multiple.
and so
we've seen multiple informants suggesting that they were. We know people were FBI informants who were asked.
Is there any evidence?
May I just finish this, and you can come back and question me.
Let me clarify.
I know it's very uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to clarify my question.
This is uncomfortable issue for many people, but we have to do the truth here.
I'm going to clarify my question because I want to make sure that you understand.
I want to make sure you know I'm a shill for this particular administration. I want to make sure that my agenda gets busted through over the top of yours. I want to make sure that you know I'm not an actual journalist.
2 years ago,
where is the evidence?
Yes,
where is the evidence that the government had applied an inside job?
But no, I'm going to tell you what an inside job is because I'm not
violence on January 6th.
I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth.
Nice.
And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Where is the evidence that the government was involved in planning or executing January 6th?
So I'm going to give you hard facts. And if I may, Abby, I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can push back on it after that. And you can push back on that. And let's do this fairly. Why did they suppress footage of now what's been released, 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd,
right?
Shooting tear gas into that crowd. You didn't see that before.
Concussion
you saw
grenades.
What the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing
Mr. Ramaswamy,
people in.
Again,
right through the front door.
No, she won't. If you watch the video, she's had it. She's trying to cut them off.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the vast
They're in her. I mean, you can tell that she's being told.
police officers being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
this is really important.
riders. That's
I'm going to give you some hard facts. So here's what entrapment is. I'm not cherry picking. If I may finish, Abby. I'm not cherry picking.
Examples.
To the contrary. To the country, you know who cherry picked? You know who cherry picked the government?
That is what
the government cherry picked 12 hours of footage. when there was 200 hours of so cherry picking was the government, not me. Release the whole thing. And let me just finish one thing too, because this is super important as a topic.
So I
think there's a civil libertarian issue of our time.
When
Gretchen Whitmer's kidnapping. I want to be really clear on
thank you,
because it's the same issue in the same FBI,
thank
same
you.
part of the FBI. 3 people who were in an alleged plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer were acquitted at the end of trial because it was entrapment. That is, government agents put them up to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done. They gave them credit cards.
And why is he making this point? Because the precedent has been set and proven.
Right.
We do know that this has been proven. Okay, they had their day in court. This has been proven. So it's not like this is outrageous to even allege. And that's what she's trying to say. So he's going through it.
With spending limits of up to $5,000, encourage them to buy munitions.
Jeez.
Plan something they weren't otherwise willing to plan. So much so, and I want people at home to know this, especially CNN viewers to know this,
important.
that one of the jurors went to those defendants and apologized afterwards, gave him a hug.
My gosh.
Apologized, seeing what the government had put a poor guy up to who had to go to some Mexican restaurant across the street to get hot water. These people were exploited with credit cards up to $5,000, FBI agents putting them up to a kidnapping plot that we were told was true but was entrapment. Same thing with the Capitol Police, people letting them in freely. Many of those people then get charged.
Look,
the government cannot put you up to do something and then charge you for it.
Thank you.
I don't want to have to.
I don't want to have to what?
I don't want to have to interrupt you.
I don't want to have to interrupt you, but I've done it about 30 times in these 3 minutes. So, but I don't want to.
Don't.
This
but
is
I don't want
crazy.
you to mislead the audience here or at home.
I think they've been misled by the mainstream media.
Mislead the audience here.
Yeah. And it's interesting. The audience is on his side.
Yeah.
The audience wants to hear what he has to say. It's just a shame she wouldn't let him say it.
No way. No way. And like I said, you could she is
My gosh.
hell-bent on cutting him off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's her deal, man.
She will not let the truth come out there.
No.
By the way, in an ex-post yesterday, former U.S. Capitol Police Lieutenant Tariq Johnson said that he has been stating publicly that, quote, J6 was not an insurrection, but not many people would listen, unquote. He said Vivek Ramaswamy got a lot right in this interview. I've been saying publicly for a year that J6 was not an insurrection, but many people would not listen. Ironically, so no one would benefit more than I if J6 was an insurrection, as I was the commander that ordered and led the evacuations of the Senate and the House during the J6 breach after begging former Assistant Chief Yogananda Pittman for permission to do so, as she sat comfortably in the Commander Center watching the events unfold on CCTV, while Chief Stephen A. Sund was obtaining National Guard approval and getting assistance from the local law enforcement agencies. Johnson said Pittman flat out ignored me, forcing him to go ahead with the evacuations without her approval. Okay? But he's adamant in that, and so have we been this whole time.
Yes, thank you, Tariq.
Not an insurrection. It's asinine to call it that. Did they get out of control? Yes. Yeah, they did. Some of them did. But keep in mind, this was a crowd of about 3 million people, according to some estimates.
Yeah.
3 million people. And maybe, a tiny, tiny fraction of 50 or 100 got ridiculous and did things that they shouldn't have done.
And there was 2.5 million FBI agents.
Right.
So,
well, we lost count. It could have been 2.9 million. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I just imagine any world capital, 3 million people surrounding the Capitol.
Yeah.
You think that government is still in place? No.
No.
Oh,
no, it's not. No, it's not.
In this country, it is. And it, of course, took Capitol Police instigating the crowd just to get some kind of response.
Yeah.
I mean, it just...
Yeah.
This whole thing is...
they shot people in the face with rubber bullets. Yeah. Jeez.
Beat people to... I mean...
Tariq, you should become a member of Blaze TV. Well, Tariq should.
Yes, he should.
Might be informed that he's not alone.
Yeah. And maybe he should talk to Abby What's-Her-Face at CNN just to give her I don't know,
heads
a
up.
little clue as to what was
and even
going on that day.
I feel that even if I
don't
have to
cut you off, Jeffy. I don't want to have to cut you off, Jeffy.
I feel Abby. Let me finish. It's important that people hear this.
Mr. Fisher.
I feel like even if you told Abby, and she may already know that the powers that be are telling her in her ear, cut him off, cut him off, cut him off. Let's not do this. No.
Yeah, with most of these people, I don't think they need to be told in their ear.